We have done a number of videos talking about the ongoing, war in Ukraine at the moment. And at the moment, it does look like the counteroffensive is making progress slowly, but surely it is making progress, with them now reaching the second line of Russian defenses. If they can break through that, who knows what might happen next? There's been a lot of talk about eventually there may just come a point of collapse where there is a breakthrough and the Russians cannot contain that breakthrough. So there has to be a withdrawal, a somewhat pulling back at some point, which could cause the line of engagement in Ukraine to shrink drastically. Now, will that happen? Who knows? Maybe it do. Maybe it will do. I hope it will, to be honest. But things, honestly, and especially the actions, of course, by one Elon Musk, have not really been helping matters. So, for those of you who don't know about Elon Musk and how he has been helping out in this war, he started off initially by helping out Ukraine by providing them with Starlink. And that is his internet satellite connection, that no matter where you are, you can connect to Starlink. And this has helped the Ukrainians out, especially very early on, massively so in this war, by providing them the abilities to be able to use drones, reconnaissance, communications using Starlink. It has been very, very vital. Until, of course, very, very recently, we have been hearing a lot of rumors that Musk has not been liking the fact that the Ukrainians have been using Starlink to go on the offensive. And to that, I have to say, doy, what did you think they were eventually going to do? Of course, sooner or later, if the Ukrainians are going to win this war, they have to push Russia out, and that means going on the offensive. And unfortunately, Elon Musk just does not seem to understand this one bit, and as a result, seems to have now, in many cases, sabotaged Ukrainian offensives by just turning off Starlink on them. And this has left them units isolated, unable to contact, unable to call for medical evac, unable to call for reinforcements, just because Elon Musk doesn't like the fact that the Ukrainians are pushing. So this has raised a lot of questions by a lot of people. Is Elon Musk compromised? We know that Elon, during even this time, has been in talks with Putin. Does Putin actually have himself now access to Starlink to see what the Ukrainians are doing? We don't know. It should be very, very worrying that the fact that this idiot has had such power and now, unfortunately, holds the fate of billions in his hands. And recently, there has been one such example, and there has been a lot of stuff on Twitter, or X now, as should we say, or the platform formerly called Twitter, now called X. Is Elon Musk a war criminal for doing this? We don't know. I'm not an expert on this type of thing. Could you class him as a war criminal for this type of thing? I don't know. I'm not an expert, but there's a lot of people who are now considering Elon Musk to be such a person. And to the fact that he has gone this way, because he is doing this, because he has had such a fragile and bruised ego over his system being used to wage war, then why did he give the Ukrainians access to this in the first place? And this has real world consequences. So what has happened very recently? Well, the Ukrainians want to go on a massive sub drone offensive, and specifically they want to go after the Black Sea Fleet based in Crimea. Now, the Black Sea Fleet throughout this war has been used as launching platforms to launch missiles. We have seen that as they ran out of missiles, they started converting ship to ship missiles to use to like ship to land missiles. It was very obvious that they have been getting desperate, and they have been using these ships throughout the war to attack civilians, and attack Ukraine in this way. These ships are a legitimate military target for Ukraine. There is no question in doing this. And yet, Elon, when this attack was about to take place, the subs, these mini subs were on their way, and then all of a sudden, gone. All these subs just dead in the water. They stopped working and floated off because Elon saw on his little monitor that there was this attack going on. He didn't do it. Now, he is claiming at the moment in his defense that he did not authorize the use of Starlink into Crimea. Now, this sets, I think, a very clear precedent for where Elon Musk stands on this, that he does not think that Crimea is Ukraine, and it is absolutely Ukrainian. This was a piece of land that was seized by force in 2014 and has been under occupation. That is no doubt that it has that has been the case. Doesn't matter about that referendum that took place, because if you've seen the question on that referendum, it was, do you want to be Russian or do you want to be Russian? There was no answer. So once again, we've had another very, very shaky referendum. And attacks into Ukraine are being launched from Crimea from attacks into Ukraine are being launched into Ukraine from the Black Sea Fleet's headquarters in Sevastopol by the Black Sea Fleet. So these are legitimate targets. And this is the Ukrainian, I think it is the advisor to the head of Vladimir Zelensky has said this in response to this. He said, sometimes a mistake is much more than just a mistake. But by not allowing Ukrainian drones to destroy part of the Russian military, aka the fleet, via the Starlink interface, Elon Musk has allowed this fleet to fire missiles at Ukrainian cities, and as a result, civilians and children are being killed. This is the price of a cocktail of ignorance and big ego. However, the question still remains. Why do some people so desperately want to defend war criminals and their desire to commit murder? And do they now realize that they are committing evil and encouraging evil? And of course, Elon Musk's defense is, I never approved deployment into Crimea. And he's saying that, we're building Starshield, which is like the military equivalent that they'll be able to use. But that's not going to be ready for at least a couple of years. And even then, the US military should seriously ask itself, if Elon Musk can interfere this much with Starlink by stopping military operations, should they really be handling military operations, or at least buying a similar system for themselves? I mean, this is, I think, a very serious offense, to be honest. What will happen now to Elon? I don't know, but a lot of people, I think now more and more are slowly starting to wake up to the fact that Elon Musk is an idiot, might be very much a Putin supporter, and well, the question is, with this Ukrainian counteroffensive going on, what happens if Elon Musk just flicks the switch? It could be very bad for the Ukrainians, and it is all this idiot's fault. And he seems willing, very, very willing, to allow all these occupied territories and all those people that have been left behind by those occupied territories to suffer. There have been some very worrying videos from those new installed governors from Moscow who have been doing some very, very worrying things recently. So he's an idiot, he's a fool, and he's just an absolute incompetent egotist is the best way to describe it at the moment. But to allow this, to not allow that attack to have happened, which from what we can tell would have been a very significant attack, which could have crippled potentially the Black Sea Fleet at least, might have stopped a few civilians and children from dying. And that is the consequence because Elon Musk didn't like that. It's it raises a lot of questions. It raises a lot of questions because we've seen recently there's a very big article, I can't remember what it's called now, but about Elon's dealings with defense in the US. It's very, very worrying. Very worrying indeed. But I'll have to see what comes of this. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.